I'm gonna put some stuff in the ground today. It's really good to see some green popping up on some of these red osier dogwoods. It's hard to say how many of them will make it, but I am full of wishful thinking right now. But those aren't actually the red osier dogwoods I want to talk about today. 2 years ago, maybe more than 2 years ago, I did a test with something like 100 cuttings, and I had 2 sets of white pots and I had 2 sets of these bronzed pots, and some were harmed, some were not harmed, where I took the cutting and scraped like an inch off the bottom so it had a little bit more, meat exposed on the cutting that was exposed to wet soil. I did some that were in dirt. I did some that were in sand. And like always, something happened. We probably went on vacation. They dried out. They died. And then the pots just got pushed off to the side. But check this out. My wife and I were having dinner the other night outside by the pool. And in the corner of the pool, check that out. There's a little tiny cutting that lasted. This is that bronze pot I was talking about, and this was that white pot I was talking about. Look how dead that cutting actually looks, the stalk. And look at the fact that there are still little green shoots popping up. This is awesome. This is absolutely crazy. This one, I don't recall exactly when, but I took this probably close to 2 years ago as well, and we kind of just wrote these off because they all looked like they were dead. So we need these pots. We want to transplant some of our house plants into these, and we figured, why not dig a hole, come out here, stick them somewhere, sort of like we did here. I think I'm actually gonna go put them over there on the end, but in the same manner. It's just crazy how resilient these red osier dogwoods really are. Hey, look, there's another one right there that's popping up. I didn't even see that one. I can't believe it. Additionally, with our clean outs, we were doing some stuff. I have very low hope for most of these. These are all, they're box elders. That's what they are. They're box elders. Now, if you know anybody that heats with firewood, they would say box elders are gopher wood, because you put one piece in the fire and you go for another one. But deer and wildlife love box elders, and I'm trying to create a habitat. I'm not trying to create a hardwood forest that I can harvest in when I die. So we're gonna just dump them. We're gonna go find a spot somewhere out in the field, and we're just gonna dump a pile of them. If they go to waste and don't make it at all, well, I needed to dump them anyway. They needed to get out of the house. These are a ton of giant sunflowers. There's a couple different types. I don't know what the difference actually was. Maybe just that they produced black seeds and white seeds for the majority. But same thing. I'm going to go through. I don't know what this is. Oh, just silica. Just absorbents. I'm going to go through and find a spot somewhere out in the field and just dump these. I'm going to spread them all out, and most likely the birds are going to get the majority of them. But wouldn't that be cool to see some big giant sunflowers growing in the field? Same thing here. We've got wild poppy. We've got some mystery seeds. These were ones that I'm sad to say I forgot about. These came from a friend online from Red Square, and he sent me those, and I probably wet them down and put them somewhere and forgot. Sometimes life gets in the way of my plans, and that's okay. And it's all right to fail, and I don't mind sharing that, because I think that this online culture, for the most part, really thrives on, look how successful I am, look how amazing I am, look how great my life is. And sometimes life just isn't what we planned on, and that's okay. So I fail often, very often, and that's just part of my life, and I've learned to deal with it. So we're going to see if we can recoup any of the small investments we're going to try to see if we can recoup any of the very small investments. We're going to see if we can recoup any of these very small investments that we've made. And geez, that's really funny that I'm talking about how I fail often, and now I can't say a word. I'm not even going to edit this. I'm going to put some stuff in the ground today. This bag doesn't want to cooperate in the breeze, but it's just a bunch of wild grass seeds that I stripped off of a plot on some state land. It looked like something that I'd like to grow out here, so I'm just going to dump it out. Quite random, I know. I'm seeing a lot of raccoon tracks around in this mud, and I never got to thinking about it until I just saw this. I wonder how many raccoons might have been transported here in some of these stumps. That's kind of funny to think of. These are these box elders, and I'm hoping that at some point some trees and whatnot will grow up in these. So I'm gonna just dump big piles of them here and there throughout and see what grows. I've seen these trees get cut down and the logs grow stuff, so we'll see if any of these work. Once again, I believe that the success rate of these seeds is going to be quite low, but I just sprinkled a bunch of these giant sunflower seeds. I'm going to see if I can shove some into the ground. I did it all around these red osier dogwoods that I stuck in the ground last week. And the reason I did is thinking maybe if these sunflowers happen to grow at a faster rate, maybe they will grow up and kind of create a little bit of a screen from any animals being able to eat these plants right here in the middle until they kind of mature and create a root system. I was so excited for these seeds in the foil, the wild poppy, and then whatever these mystery seeds were. And now I remember I did try to plant these in small pots, and these were just labels that I just never threw away. I'm sure this is probably also a crazy idea as I'm stomping these into the mud. But I, for the most part, on these seeds, I kind of followed where the ground is cracking as it dries up. And I dropped a lot of these seeds right down into those cracks. You can see them, that they fell down in there pretty far, a couple inches, 2-3 inches. And so, you know, I'm just shoving them down in there. We'll see if anything happens. So there's one. I don't remember what this even is, but I hope that it survives. I'm gonna kick some of this dirt over what was in the pot and hope it's just resilient one more time. Just to share the wealth a little bit, I do remember watching deer walking around in these little things. Oh, hey, look, there's a buck grub. Look at that, that's cool. So this will be a good spot to stick one of these little plants. So the one that's got a stem here and a stem here growing, and who knows, maybe some more of those will come alive. I'm gonna stick this right in the ground here, and there's moisture very close by, so the ground's all still good and wet. Since I know that these plants, these red osier dogwoods, really like moisture, and I know there's moisture still right there, I dug my hole a lot deeper than I needed to. It's probably 4 inches, maybe 5 inches below the soil. So now I will backfill that gap, but I'm going to leave this exposed, hoping that if it rains more, this kind of just creates a pool, holds on to a little bit more water, and it's closer to moisture in the ground. I've got one last remaining pot to stick in the ground, and it's funny because this is one of the sandy mediums. So one of these was harmed, and one of these was unharmed, and one of these was sand and one was dirt. And it doesn't really matter, apparently, what these red osier dogwoods are in, as long as they stay wet. So once again, hopefully with a little bit of protection here in these stumps. This is right at the end. This is closest to my deer stand. Maybe this will flourish, and I'm going to try to dump it out. That sand is quite fragile. I can feel it falling apart, but stick it in there. Pack some of this loose dirt around it and see what nature will bring to me, what it will do for me, because once again, we've kind of proven Mother Nature does it best. We don't need no chemicals. I haven't fed these, I haven't watered them, I have forgotten about them, and they are still resilient. So hopefully once now they're in the ground, Mother Nature will just take over, do the rest. This will bring more wildlife. The birds like the berries that are produced on these things. They'll perch along on more of these stumps, more of the brush piles I've dumped out here, and they're gonna poop, and the seeds that are in those berries are gonna just grow even more. And that's kind of how this wildlife habitat is going to take over my field, and I'm going to let it. I got my pots that I needed. I'm happy. These little plants are happy. Hopefully those random seeds I threw in the ground are happy. Hopefully you're happy. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great, April 26th day. Now, this is probably going to air a little bit later, so whenever it does, have a great day.